It's 1:47 a.m., and I'm standing in my kitchen wearing nothing but boxers and the kind of rage that keeps you awake for 3 straight days. My phone buzzes again, another text from Rachel. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Still at the office. Big presentation tomorrow. Don't wait up. XOXO. XOXO. Jesus Christ. She's adding kisses and hugs to her lies now, like sprinkles on a shit sandwich. I scroll up through our conversation. Same story for the past 6 weeks. Working late. Big client meeting. Kevin needs help with the Morrison account. Always Kevin. Kevin with his perfect teeth and his BMW and his habit of showing up at our kids' soccer games when Rachel forgets to tell me she's going. The house creaks around me. 7 years of mortgage payments and memories that now feel like evidence in a case I didn't know I was building. Emma's art project is still taped to the refrigerator, a crayon drawing of our family. Mommy, Daddy, Emma, and little Jack all holding hands under a yellow sun, except Mommy's never here anymore to hold anyone's hands. I open Instagram. There she is, Rachel Morrison, my loving wife of 8 years, mother of my 2 children, tagged at Murphy's Bar downtown, posted 23 minutes ago. The timestamp reads 1:24 a.m. Murphy's Bar. That's not an office. That's where young professionals go to pretend they're still in college and make decisions that destroy families. In the photo, she's laughing at something off camera, her head thrown back in that way that used to make my chest tight with love. Now it just makes me want to punch something. She's wearing the black dress I bought her for our anniversary last year. The one she said was too fancy for just the 2 of us. I guess Kevin rates higher than just the 2 of us. My thumb hovers over her contact. 8 years of marriage, and I'm about to delete my wife's phone number like she's some telemarketer. The irony isn't lost on me. Rachel's in sales, after all. She's been selling me bullshit for months, and apparently I've been buying it wholesale. I type, I already know about your work. Hope Kevin's presentation was worth it. Delete contact. The silence in my house feels different now. Not peaceful, predatory, like it's waiting for something to break. Upstairs, Emma coughs in her sleep. She's 8 years old, and she asked me yesterday why Mommy doesn't read bedtime stories anymore. She's always busy with work, Daddy. Is work more important than us? Out of the mouths of babes. I walk to the living room window and look out at our neighborhood. Maple Street, Millfield, Illinois. The kind of place where people move to raise families and pretend their problems are smaller than they actually are. Mrs. Donnelly across the street has her porch light on. She's probably watching through her curtains, waiting for Rachel's car to pull into our driveway. Mrs. Donnelly doesn't miss anything. She's like a one-woman neighborhood surveillance system. The funny thing is, I used to be proud of Rachel's ambition. When we met in college, she was the girl with the 5-year plan, the color-coded calendar, the internship at Morrison & Associates before she even graduated. I was just a small-town kid who was good with numbers and better with his fists. I boxed in college, nothing serious, just enough to work out frustration and stay in shape. Rachel was going places. I was lucky she decided to take me along. Now I'm wondering if I was ever really invited to the journey, or if I was just useful for a while. Someone to help with the mortgage, father her children, and stay home with the kids while she networks with Kevin until 2 a.m. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Check your email. You deserve to know the truth. A friend. I stare at the message. In my experience, anonymous friends are usually enemies with better timing. But at 1:52 a.m., with my marriage dissolving in real time, I'm not exactly in a position to be picky about my sources. I grab my laptop from the kitchen counter, the same spot where Rachel leaves her purse every night when she actually comes home. Her purse. I've never gone through it, never felt the need to. Trust was supposed to be our thing. Trust is for idiots. The email is waiting, a Gmail account I don't recognize, with the subject line, What Rachel Does at Work. There are photos, 6 of them. Rachel and Kevin at Murphy's Bar. Rachel and Kevin getting into his BMW. Rachel and Kevin at the Sunset Motel on Route 47, the kind of place that rents rooms by the hour and doesn't ask questions about wedding rings. The photos are time-stamped. Tonight, last week, 3 weeks ago. A timeline of betrayal, documented with the kind of precision Rachel usually reserves for her sales reports. The last photo shows them leaving the motel room. Kevin's hand is on Rachel's ass, and she's looking up at him the way she used to look at me when we were dating, like he's the answer to a question she's been asking her whole life. I close the laptop. The house is still silent, but now it feels like it's holding its breath. I walk upstairs to check on the kids. Emma is sprawled across her bed, one leg hanging off the side, her stuffed elephant clutched to her chest. Jack is curled up in a ball, thumb in his mouth, a habit Rachel's been trying to break him of. Big boys don't suck their thumbs, Jack. Maybe big boys don't, but little boys whose mothers abandon them for coworkers do whatever they need to do to feel safe. I stand in the hallway between their rooms and make a decision that will change everything. I'm not going to be the good guy anymore. Rachel comes home at 7:30 a.m., just as I'm making breakfast for the kids. She walks through the kitchen door like she owns the place, which technically she does. Half of it anyway. "Morning, everyone," she calls out, all sunshine and bullshit. She's wearing yesterday's clothes, and there's a hickey on her neck that she's tried to cover with concealer. Amateur hour. Emma looks up from her cereal. "Mommy, you missed story time again." "I know, sweetheart. Mommy had to work very late, but I'll make it up to you, okay?" "Work?" The word tastes like poison in the air between us. Jack doesn't even look at her. He's 5 years old, and he's already learning that Mommy's promises don't mean much anymore. "Coffee?" Rachel asks me, moving toward the pot like this is any other morning, like she didn't spend the night in a motel room with her coworker while I put our children to bed alone. "Help yourself," I say. My voice is steady, controlled. Years of customer service work taught me how to sound pleasant when I want to commit violence. She pours her coffee and adds cream, 2 sugars, just like always. Some things never change, others explode without warning. "You're quiet this morning," she says, settling at the kitchen table across from Emma. "Everything okay?" I look at her, really look at her. The woman I married, the mother of my children, the person I trusted with everything I had. She's beautiful, even now, especially now with that post-sex glow that used to be mine. "Just thinking about work," I tell her. "You know how it is?" She smiles. "I do. This Morrison account is killing me, but if we land it, the commission will be huge. Kevin thinks we have a real shot." Kevin thinks. Kevin and his thoughts, and his BMW, and his hands on my wife's ass. "I'm sure Kevin has lots of thoughts," I say. If she catches the edge in my voice, she doesn't show it. Rachel's always been good at hearing what she wants to hear. "Daddy, can you take us to school today?" Emma asks. Mommy looks tired. Out of the Mouths of Babes, Part 2. "Of course, sweetheart. Go get your backpacks." The kids scramble upstairs, leaving Rachel and me alone in the kitchen. She's scrolling through her phone, probably checking messages from Kevin. Planning their next work session? "I got your text last night," she says without looking up. "What was that about?" "Just wondering how the presentation went." "What presentation?" The lie comes so easily to her that I almost admire it. Almost. "The one you were working on. With Kevin. Until 2 in the morning. She looks up from her phone, and for just a second I see something flicker across her face. Fear, maybe, or calculation. "Oh, that. It went well. We're meeting with the client next week." "At Murphy's bar?" Now she's paying attention. Her coffee cup stops halfway to her lips. "What?" "Instagram, Rachel. You were tagged at Murphy's bar at 1:24 a.m. Unless Morrison and Associates moved their offices to a dive bar, you weren't working." The silence stretches between us like a tripwire. I can hear the kids upstairs getting ready for school, living their innocent lives while their parents' marriage disintegrates in the kitchen. "Daniel, I can explain." "Don't." The word comes out harder than I intended. Rachel flinches. "Don't explain. Don't lie. Don't insult my intelligence any more than you already have." She sets down her coffee cup with shaking hands. "You don't understand. It's complicated." "Complicated." I laugh, and it sounds like breaking glass. "You know what's complicated, Rachel? Explaining to Emma why Mommy doesn't live here anymore. Explaining to Jack why he can't see you every day. That's complicated. Being involved with your coworker is just selfish." We're not. The Sunset Motel on Route 47. 3 weeks ago, last week, and last night. Should I go on, or are you going to keep lying to my face?" The color drains from her cheeks. She looks like she's going to be sick. "How did you—" "Does it matter? You did it. That's what matters." The kids come thundering down the stairs, backpacks bouncing, completely oblivious to the fact that their world just shifted on its axis. "Ready, Daddy," Emma announces. "Great, let's go." I grab my keys from the counter. Rachel is still sitting at the table, staring at her coffee like it might contain answers. "We need to talk about this," she says quietly. "No, we don't. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine." I kiss the kids goodbye and head for the door. Behind me, I hear Rachel call my name, but I don't turn around. Outside, Mrs. Donnelly is watering her flowers. She waves from across the street, and I wave back. Normal neighborhood morning, normal suburban dad taking his kids to school. Except nothing is normal anymore, and normal is something I'm never going to be again. In the car, Emma chatters about her spelling test, and Jack hums along to the radio. They trust me to take care of them, to keep their world stable and safe. They have no idea that their mother just burned it all down, but I'm going to make sure she pays for every ash. After dropping the kids at school, I drive straight to Sullivan's boxing gym on the south side of town. It's the kind of place that smells like sweat and dreams deferred, perfect for my current mood. Big Mike Sullivan owns the place. He trained me in college, back when I thought boxing might be my ticket to something bigger than Millfield, Illinois. Turns out my way out was an accounting degree and a marriage to a woman who betrays me with her coworkers, but Mike's still the best person I know for handling frustration. "Danny boy," Mike calls out when I walk through the door. He's 62 years old, built like a fire hydrant, and has never called me Daniel in the 15 years I've known him. "Little early for you, isn't it?" "Couldn't sleep." Mike takes one look at my face and nods toward the heavy bags. "Rough night?" "Rough life." I wrap my hands and start hitting the bag. Left jab, right cross, left hook. The rhythm is meditative, familiar. Each punch is a thought I can't say out loud. Rachel's lies, Kevin's smug face, the photos on my laptop, the way Emma asked if work was more important than us. "Easy there, champ," Mike says after I've been going for 20 minutes straight. "That bag's got a family too." I stop punching and lean against the bag, breathing hard. My knuckles are raw, despite the wraps. "Want to talk about it?" Mike asks. "Rachel's cheating on me." Mike doesn't look surprised. He's seen enough of life to know that people disappoint you in predictable ways. "You sure?" "Photos, motel receipts, the whole cliché." "With who?" "Guy from her work, Kevin something. Drives a BMW, wears suits that cost more than my mortgage payment." Mike nods like this makes perfect sense. "What are you going to do about it?" It's a simple question with a complicated answer. The old Daniel, the good guy, the devoted husband, the man who believed in working things out, would have suggested marriage counseling, would have asked where we went wrong, what he could do better, how we could fix this for the kids' sake. The new Daniel, the one born at 1:47 a.m. in his kitchen, has different ideas. "I'm going to destroy her," I say. Mike raises an eyebrow. "Legally, I hope." "Of course, legally. I'm not stupid, Mike. But I'm done being nice. I'm done being understanding. She wants to play games. I'll show her what games look like." "What about the kids?" That stops me cold. Emma and Jack. The innocent casualties in this war I didn't start, but fully intend to finish. "I'll protect them. From her, if I have to." Mike studies my face for a long moment. "You know, Danny, I've seen a lot of guys come through here over the years. Guys who thought they were tough. Guys who thought they could handle anything. The ones who lasted weren't the strongest or the fastest. They were the ones who could think while they were angry." "I can think? Can you? Because right now you look like a man who wants to burn down the world. That's understandable, but make sure you don't burn down yourself in the process." I unwrap my hands and toss the tape in the trash. "What would you do, Mike, if it was your wife?" Mike's been married to the same woman for 38 years. They're the kind of couple that still holds hands at the grocery store. "I'd make sure I won," he says simply, "but I'd make sure winning was worth it." I leave the gym with my knuckles aching and my head clearer than it's been since this whole nightmare started. Mike's right. I need to think while I'm angry. I need to be smart. Rachel wants to play in the big leagues? Fine. But she's about to learn that her small-town husband isn't as naive as she thinks. My first stop is downtown, to the law offices of Sophie Chen and Associates. Sophie and I went to high school together. She's the smartest person I know, and more importantly, she hates cheaters. Her ex-husband ran off with his secretary 3 years ago, and Sophie took him for everything he had. "Daniel Morrison," she says when her secretary shows me into her office. "This is a pleasant surprise. How's Rachel?" "That's actually why I'm here." Sophie's smile fades. "She's a good lawyer, which means she's good at reading people. Sit down and tell me everything." I do. The late nights, the lies, the photos, the motel. Sophie takes notes on a yellow legal pad, her face getting more serious with each detail. "How long has this been going on?" she asks. "At least 3 weeks that I can prove. Probably longer." "And you want a divorce?" "I want custody of my kids. I want the house. I want her to pay for what she's done." Sophie leans back in her chair. "Illinois is a no-fault state, Daniel. Adultery doesn't automatically give you everything you want. But it gives me something, right? It gives us leverage. Especially if we can prove she's been neglecting the children for this affair. You said she's been working late, missing bedtime stories, not showing up to school events. All of the above. Good. We can work with that. But Daniel, I need you to promise me something. What? No stupid moves. No confronting this Kevin guy in a parking lot. No dramatic scenes at her office. You play this smart and legal, or you lose everything. Understood? I nod, but we both know I'm lying. Smart and legal is one thing, but Rachel's not just getting divorced. She's getting destroyed. And Kevin? Kevin's going to wish he'd kept his hands to himself. That afternoon, I'm at home trying to work. I run a small financial consulting business from my home office when my phone buzzes with another text from the unknown number. Meet me at Rosie's Diner on 5th Street, 6 p.m. Come alone. Your friend. Rosie's Diner is the kind of place where truckers and shift workers grab coffee and pie. Not exactly spy novel material, but then again, my life has taken a turn for the dramatic lately. I arrange for Mrs. Donnelly to watch the kids. She's thrilled to help, and I suspect she's hoping I'll spill details about Rachel's late nights. The neighborhood gossip network is more efficient than the FBI. Rosie's is mostly empty when I arrive. A few truckers at the counter, a tired-looking waitress refilling coffee cups, and in the back booth, a woman I recognize but can't quite place. She waves me over. Mid-30s, blonde hair, expensive clothes that don't quite fit the diner atmosphere. She looks familiar in that nagging way that means I should know her but can't remember from where. Daniel, she says as I slide into the booth across from her. Thanks for coming. Do I know you? She smiles, but it doesn't reach her eyes. Lila Patterson. I work with Rachel at Morrison and Associates. Now I remember. Company Christmas parties, office barbecues, the occasional mention in Rachel's work stories. Lila, Rachel's friend from HR, the one who always seemed to know everyone's business. You sent me the photos. I did. Why? Lila signals the waitress for coffee. She takes her time adding cream and sugar, like we're discussing the weather instead of the destruction of my marriage. Because you deserve to know the truth, she says finally. And because Rachel's my friend, even if she's making terrible choices. Some friend, taking pictures of her cheating. Someone needs to document what's happening, for your sake and for hers. The waitress brings my coffee. I don't touch it. How long have you known? About Kevin? 2 months, maybe longer. 2 months. While I was helping Emma with homework and teaching Jack to ride his bike, Rachel was planning her escape into Kevin's arms. Why didn't you tell her to stop? Lila laughs, and it's not a pleasant sound. You think I didn't try? Rachel's convinced she's in love. She thinks Kevin's going to leave his girlfriend and they're going to run away together and live happily ever after. Kevin has a girlfriend? Had. They broke up last week. Apparently she found some interesting text messages on his phone. The irony is thick enough to cut with a knife. Kevin's girlfriend found out he was cheating, so now he's free to be with my wife. It's like a soap opera written by someone with no imagination. What do you want from me, Lila? She leans forward, her voice dropping to a whisper. I want you to fight for your marriage. My marriage is over. Is it? Or are you just going to roll over and let Kevin win? There's something in her tone that doesn't sit right with me, an urgency that feels personal. This isn't about winning or losing. This is about Rachel choosing someone else. Rachel's confused. She's having a midlife crisis, and Kevin's taking advantage of it. But if you fight for her, really fight, you might be able to save this. I study Lila's face. She's attractive in a sharp, corporate way, the kind of woman who probably has her 5-year plan color-coded just like Rachel did. Why do you care so much about my marriage? For just a second, her mask slips. I see something raw and desperate in her eyes. Because some marriages are worth saving, she says, and some people are worth fighting for. She slides a manila envelope across the table. There's more in here. Photos, text messages, receipts, everything you need to prove what's been happening. I don't touch the envelope. How did you get text messages? Rachel's not as careful as she thinks she is. She left her phone unlocked in the break room last week. You went through her phone? I was protecting her, and you. There's that urgency again, that personal investment that doesn't make sense for a casual work friend. What aren't you telling me, Lila? She finishes her coffee and stands up. I'm telling you everything you need to know. The question is, what are you going to do with it? She leaves a 20 on the table and walks out of the diner, leaving me alone with the envelope and more questions than answers. Inside the envelope, more photos of Rachel and Kevin, printouts of text messages that make my stomach turn, and receipts from restaurants and hotels I've never been to. A paper trail of betrayal, documented with the kind of thoroughness that suggests this isn't Lila's first rodeo. The text messages are the worst part. Rachel calling Kevin baby, Kevin telling Rachel she's so much more exciting than Daniel. Rachel saying she can't wait to be free. Free. Like our marriage is a prison sentence she's been serving. I sit in that diner booth for an hour, reading through the evidence of my wife's affair, and I make a decision that will change everything. I'm not going to fight for my marriage. I'm going to end it so completely that Rachel will wish she'd never heard Kevin's name. The next morning, Rachel is gone before I wake up. She left a note on the kitchen counter. Early client meeting. We'll call later. R. No love Rachel. No XOXO. Just R, like she's signing a business memo. Fine. If she wants to keep this professional, I can work with that. I drop the kids at school and drive to Sophie's office. She's waiting for me with a pot of coffee and a stack of legal documents. I've been thinking about your situation, she says as I settle into the chair across from her desk. We need to move fast, but we also need to be strategic. What do you mean? Rachel's going to realize you know about the affair. When she does, she's going to try to control the narrative. We need to get ahead of that. Sophie spreads the documents across her desk like a general planning a battle. First, we file for divorce citing irreconcilable differences. No mention of adultery in the initial filing. That comes later, when we have all our ducks in a row. Why wait? Because if we lead with adultery, Rachel's going to lawyer up immediately, and this becomes a war. If we start with irreconcilable differences, she might think she can negotiate, maybe even reconcile. That gives us time to gather more evidence. I have plenty of evidence. You have photos and text messages from a questionable source. We need more. Financial records showing money spent on hotels and dinners you didn't attend. Testimony from people who've seen them together. A pattern of neglect toward the children. Sophie pulls out a yellow legal pad and starts writing. Here's what you're going to do. Document everything. Every time Rachel comes home late, write it down. Every time she misses a school event or bedtime story, document it. Every time she chooses Kevin over her family, we need a record. How long will this take? A month, maybe 2. Long enough to build an airtight case for custody. 2 months of pretending I don't know about the affair. 2 months of watching Rachel lie to my face while she destroys our family. I can't do it, Sophie. I can't pretend everything's normal for 2 months. You can, and you will, because the alternative is losing your kids. That stops me cold. Emma and Jack, living with Rachel and her new boyfriend. Kevin reading them bedtime stories, teaching Jack to throw a baseball, walking Emma down the aisle someday. Okay, I say. What else? We need to secure your finances. Open new accounts, move half of everything into your name only. Legal, but protective. Done. And Daniel, no contact with Kevin. I know you want to confront him, but that will only hurt your case. Let me handle this legally. I nod, but we both know I'm lying again. Kevin's going to pay for what he's done to my family. Maybe not legally, but he's going to pay. After leaving Sophie's office, I drive to the bank and open new accounts. Then I go to the gym and hit the heavy bag until my hands bleed through the wraps. That evening, Rachel comes home at her usual time, 7:30. Just late enough to miss dinner with the kids, but early enough to pretend she cares. How was your day? She asks, kissing me on the cheek like we're still a normal married couple. Her lips feel like ice. Fine. How was your client meeting? Productive. We're making real progress on the Morrison account. The Morrison account. I wonder if that's what she calls it when Kevin sleeps with her in motel rooms. That's great, honey. The kids missed you at dinner. A flicker of guilt crosses her face. I know. This project is just so demanding right now. But it'll be over soon, and then things can get back to normal. Normal. Like there's a world where this ends with us holding hands and growing old together. I understand, I lie. Work is important. She smiles and heads upstairs to say goodnight to Emma and Jack. I hear her reading to them, using the voices they love, being the mother they remember. For 20 minutes, she's the Rachel I married. Then she comes back downstairs and the mask goes back on. I might be late again tomorrow, she says, not quite meeting my eyes. Big presentation. Of course, I'll handle bedtime. You're the best, Daniel. I don't know what I'd do without you. You're about to find out, I think. That night, after Rachel falls asleep, I go through her purse. I find receipts from restaurants I've never been to, a hotel key card from last weekend when she claimed to be at a work retreat, and a business card for a jewelry store downtown. Kevin's buying her jewelry now. Probably something to celebrate their love, their future together, their freedom from boring old Daniel and his boring old life. I photograph everything and put it back exactly where I found it. Then I go to my home office and start a file labeled Evidence. Sophie wants documentation? She's going to get it. But Sophie's legal strategy is just the beginning. I have plans for Kevin that don't involve courtrooms or lawyers. I have plans that involve the kind of justice you can't get from a judge. 2 weeks later, I'm at Emma's school play when I see them together. Rachel and Kevin, sitting 3 rows ahead of me, her hand on his knee like they're a real couple. Like he has any right to be at my daughter's school play. Emma is playing a sunflower in the 2nd grade production of The Garden of Dreams. She's been practicing her lines for weeks, excited for both her parents to see her perform. Rachel told me she had to work late. She said she'd miss the play but would make it up to Emma somehow. Instead, she brought her boyfriend. I watch them whisper to each other, Kevin's hand moving to Rachel's back, her leaning into him like he's her husband. My daughter is on stage, giving the performance of her 8-year-old life, and her mother is too busy flirting with her lover to pay attention. When the play ends, Emma runs off the stage looking for us. She sees Rachel first and lights up like Christmas morning. "Mommy, you came." "Of course I came, sweetheart. You were amazing." Emma hugs Rachel, then notices Kevin standing behind her. "Hi, Mr. Kevin. Why are you here?" Rachel's face goes pale. Kevin crouches down to Emma's level with a smile that makes me want to break his teeth. "I wanted to see your play too, Emma. Your mom talks about you all the time at work." "That's nice. Where's Daddy?" I step forward before Rachel can answer. "Right here, sweetheart." The look on Rachel's face when she sees me is worth every sleepless night I've had since this started. Pure terror, mixed with guilt and something that might be shame if she's capable of feeling it anymore. "Daniel," she says, "I thought you couldn't make it?" "I changed my mind. Funny thing, so did you." Kevin extends his hand like we're meeting at a business conference. "You must be Daniel. I'm Kevin Walsh from Rachel's office." I look at his hand like it's covered in shit. Because in a way, it is. "I know who you are." The silence stretches between us while other families celebrate around us. Emma looks confused, sensing tension she doesn't understand. Other parents are starting to notice the drama. "Well," Kevin says, dropping his hand, "this is awkward." "Is it?" I ask. I can't imagine why. Rachel grabs Emma's hand. "We should go, sweetheart. It's getting late." "Can Mr. Kevin come to dinner?" Emma asks innocently. "No," I say before Rachel can answer. "Mr. Kevin has somewhere else to be." Kevin's jaw tightens. He's not used to being dismissed, especially in front of Rachel. Actually, Rachel and I were planning to grab dinner after this. "Were you?" I look at my wife, my lying, cheating wife who brought her boyfriend to our daughter's school play. "How nice. Emma, why don't you go get Jack from Mrs. Patterson's classroom? Daddy needs to talk to Mommy for a minute." Emma skips away, oblivious to the fact that her parents' marriage is disintegrating in the elementary school auditorium. "Daniel, please," Rachel starts. "Please what? Please pretend I don't see what's happening here? Please act like it's normal for you to bring your coworker to our daughter's school play when you told me you had to work late." "It's not what you think." "What I think is that you're a liar. What I think is that you've been lying to me for months. What I think is that you brought your boyfriend to our daughter's school play because you don't have the decency to keep your affair away from our children." Kevin steps forward. "Hey, that's enough." I turn to face him fully for the first time. He's taller than me, probably works out at one of those expensive gyms downtown. He's wearing a suit that costs more than I make in a month, and his watch probably costs more than my car. But I've been boxing for 20 years, and he looks like the kind of guy who's never been punched in the face. "Did I ask you to speak?" "You're being unreasonable, man. We're all adults here." "Adults." I laugh, and several people turn to look at us. Adults don't sleep with other people's spouses. Adults don't show up at children's school plays like they're part of the family. Adults take responsibility for their actions. "Daniel, stop," Rachel hisses. "People are staring." Let them stare. Let them see what kind of woman brings her lover to her daughter's school play. Let them see what kind of man dates a married mother of 2. Kevin's face is red now. "You need to calm down." "Or what? You'll what, exactly?" For a moment, I think he might actually take a swing at me. I'm hoping he will. I've been hitting the heavy bag for 2 weeks, imagining his face, and I'd love nothing more than for him to give me a legal excuse to put him in the hospital. But Kevin's smarter than that, or maybe just more cowardly. "Come on, Rachel," he says. "We don't need this drama." Drama, like he's not the one who created it by sleeping with my wife. Rachel looks between us, torn between her old life and her new one. For just a second, I think she might choose me. Choose our family. Choose the life we built together. Then she takes Kevin's arm. "I'll call you later, Daniel. We need to talk." They walk away together, leaving me standing alone in the elementary school auditorium while other families celebrate their children's achievements. Emma comes running back with Jack in tow. "Where's Mommy?" "She had to go, sweetheart. Work emergency." But I wanted to show her my costume up close. "You can show me instead. I want to see everything." Emma beams and starts describing every detail of her sunflower costume. Jack holds my hand and tells me about the cookies they had in his classroom during intermission. My children trust me to take care of them, to protect them, to keep their world stable even when everything else is falling apart. Rachel made her choice tonight. She chose Kevin over Emma's play, chose her affair over her family, chose her new life over the one we built together. Now I'm going to show her what choices really cost. The next morning, I call in sick to work and drive to Morrison and Associates. It's a glass and steel building downtown, the kind of place where Rachel goes to play corporate warrior while I stay home with the kids. I don't go inside. Instead, I sit in my car across the street and watch. At 11:30, Rachel and Kevin come out together, walking close but not touching. They get into his BMW and drive away. I follow them. They go to a restaurant called Chez Laurent, the kind of French place with cloth napkins and wine lists thicker than phone books. Through the window, I watch them hold hands across the table, Rachel laughing at something Kevin says, both of them acting like lovesick teenagers instead of adults destroying a family. I take photos, lots of them. Then I go home and upload everything to a new email account. The photos from the restaurant, the motel pictures Lila gave me, the receipts from Rachel's purse. I create a folder labeled Rachel's Work Projects and save it all. At 3:15, I pick up the kids from school. Emma chatters about her day, still excited about the play. Jack shows me a drawing he made of our family, stick figures holding hands under a rainbow. "Where's Mommy?" he asks, pointing to the empty space in his drawing. "At work, buddy." "She's always at work." "I know." That evening, Rachel comes home at 9 p.m. The kids are already in bed, and I'm sitting in the living room with a beer and the divorce papers Sophie prepared. "We need to talk," she says. "Yes, we do." She sits down across from me, and for a moment, she looks like the woman I married. Vulnerable, uncertain, maybe even sorry. "About last night. Last night you brought your boyfriend to our daughter's school play. You lied to my face again, and you put our children in the middle of your affair." "Kevin's not my boyfriend." "What is he then?" She's quiet for a long time. "It's complicated." "No, it's not. You're sleeping with him. You're planning a life with him. You're choosing him over your family. That's not complicated, Rachel. That's just selfish." Tears start running down her cheeks. Real tears, not the crocodile variety she uses when she wants something. "I never meant for this to happen. But it did happen, and you kept choosing it, over and over again, for months. I love him." There it is. The truth finally, after months of lies and excuses and working late. Do you love him more than you love Emma and Jack? That's not fair. Do you? It's different. What I feel for Kevin, it's like I'm alive again, like I'm not just a wife and mother, but a woman, a person with her own dreams and desires. And what about my dreams? What about my desires? What about the life we planned together? I know I'm hurting you. I know this is terrible. But I can't help how I feel. I stand up and hand her the divorce papers. "What's this?" "Your freedom." "Congratulations, Rachel. You get to be alive again." She stares at the papers like they're written in a foreign language. "Daniel, I don't want a divorce. I want us to work this out." "Work what out? You love him? You said it yourself, so go be with him." "What about the kids?" "What about them? You've already chosen Kevin over them. This just makes it official." "I would never abandon my children." "You already have. Every late night, every missed bedtime story, every lie you told them about where you were, you've been abandoning them piece by piece." She's crying harder now, but I don't feel sorry for her. I feel nothing at all. I need time to think. "You've had months to think. You chose Kevin. Now live with that choice." I walk toward the stairs, then stop and turn back. "Oh, and Rachel, pack a bag. I want you out of this house by tomorrow night." "You can't kick me out. This is my house, too." "Actually, I can. Check the papers. Sophie's very thorough." I leave her sitting in the living room with the divorce papers and her tears, and I go upstairs to check on my children. Emma is sleeping peacefully, her sunflower costume hanging on her closet door. Jack is curled up with his stuffed dinosaur, thumb in his mouth. They're going to be okay. I'm going to make sure of that. As for Rachel and Kevin, they're about to learn that actions have consequences. And I'm just getting started. Rachel moves out the next day, taking only a suitcase and her guilt. She's staying with Lila, she tells me, until we figure things out. There's nothing to figure out. The divorce papers are filed, Sophie is handling the legal details, and I have full temporary custody of the kids while Rachel sorts out her living situation. Emma cries when Rachel leaves. Jack doesn't understand why Mommy isn't coming home. I tell them it's temporary, that Mommy needs some time to think about things, that they'll see her soon. I'm lying, but sometimes lies are kinder than truth. The next week, I put my plan into action. First, I call Morrison and Associates and ask to speak with Rachel's boss, Mr. Morrison himself. Mr. Morrison, this is Daniel Patterson. I'm Rachel Morrison's husband. Of course, Daniel. How can I help you? I'm calling about Rachel's relationship with Kevin Walsh. Silence on the other end of the line. I'm not sure I understand. They've been having an affair for months. I have photos, receipts, documentation. I thought you should know, given that they're both representing your company to clients. More silence. Then, Mr. Patterson, these are serious allegations. Yes, they are. I'm not asking you to fire anyone. I'm just letting you know that your employees are conducting personal business on company time, and it's affecting their judgment. Rachel brought Kevin to our daughter's school play last week, introduced him to our children. This isn't just an affair anymore. It's affecting their ability to maintain professional boundaries. I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. I'll look into it. Thank you. I have documentation if you need it. I hang up and wait. 2 days later, Rachel calls me, hysterical. What did you do? I'm going to need you to be more specific. Morrison wants to see me and Kevin in his office tomorrow morning. Someone told him about us. Imagine that. Daniel, please, if I lose my job, you should have considered that before you started seeing your coworker. This is vindictive and cruel. No, Rachel. Vindictive and cruel would be sending the photos to your parents, or posting them on social media, or showing them to Emma and Jack. This is just consequences. She hangs up on me. The next morning, I drive by Morrison and Associates and see Kevin's BMW in the parking lot. At 10:15, I see him come out of the building carrying a cardboard box. Rachel follows 10 minutes later, also carrying a box. They've been fired, both of them. I feel a moment of satisfaction, then remember that Rachel's unemployment means less child support. But Sophie assured me that Rachel's affair and abandonment of the children will work in our favor for custody, and that's worth more than money. That evening, Lila calls me. You destroyed her career, she says without preamble. She destroyed her own career. I just made sure her boss knew about it. Rachel's devastated. She's been crying for hours. Where's Kevin? Shouldn't he be comforting her? Silence. Lila, where's Kevin? He ended things with Rachel yesterday, after they got fired. He said it was too complicated, that he needed time to figure out his life. I start laughing. I can't help it. So let me get this straight. Rachel left her husband and children for Kevin. They both got fired because of their affair. And now Kevin's dumped her? It's not funny, Daniel. It's hilarious. It's the most hilarious thing I've ever heard. She made a mistake. She knows that now. She made a choice. Multiple choices. Now she gets to live with them. She wants to come home. She wants to work things out. No. Just like that? No. Just like that. She made her bed with Kevin. Now she can lie in it alone. I hang up and pour myself a drink. Outside, it's starting to rain. The kind of steady, soaking rain that turns everything gray and miserable. Perfect weather for Rachel's new life. 3 weeks later, I'm at the grocery store with the kids when I run into Kevin. He looks terrible, unshaven, wearing jeans and a wrinkled t-shirt instead of his usual expensive suits. Unemployment doesn't suit him. Daniel, he says, avoiding eye contact. Kevin, how's the job search going? He doesn't answer, just stares at the cereal boxes like they contain the secrets of the universe. I heard you and Rachel broke up, I continue. Sorry to hear that. Must be tough, losing your job and your girlfriend in the same week. Look, I know you hate me. Hate's a strong word. I think you're a piece of shit, but hate requires more emotional investment than you're worth. Emma tugs on my sleeve. Daddy, can we get the cereal with the marshmallows? Sure, sweetheart. I put the cereal in our cart and start to walk away, then stop. Kevin, can I ask you something? He nods reluctantly. Whose idea was the affair, yours or Rachel's? What do you mean? I mean, who pursued who? Did you go after Rachel or did she come to you? Kevin looks confused by the question. Neither, really. It just happened. Things don't just happen. Someone makes the first move. If you must know, Lila introduced us. She thought we'd get along. Something cold settles in my stomach. Lila introduced you? Yeah, She kept saying how much we had in common, how we should work together on projects. She even suggested we grab drinks after work to discuss the Morrison account. And Rachel was there? Lila invited her too. Said it would be good for team building. Team building. Right. When was this? 4 months ago, maybe 5. Look, Daniel, I never meant for things to go as far as they did. It started innocent, just work colleagues having drinks. But Lila kept arranging these group outings, and somehow it always ended up being just me and Rachel. Kevin keeps talking, but I'm not listening anymore. I'm thinking about Lila's urgent phone calls, her insistence that I fight for my marriage, her convenient access to Rachel's phone and text messages. I'm thinking about how she knew exactly where to find me that night at Rosie's diner. I'm thinking about how she's been playing puppet master from the beginning. I have to go, I tell Kevin, cutting him off mid-sentence. Daniel, wait. But I'm already walking away, my mind racing. Emma and Jack chatter in the grocery cart, oblivious to the fact that their father just realized he's been played by an expert. That night, after the kids are in bed, I call Rachel. What do you want, Daniel? I want to ask you about Lila. What about her? How did she react when you told her about the affair? She was supportive. She said I deserved to be happy. Did she encourage you to pursue things with Kevin? Rachel's quiet for a moment. Why are you asking me this? Just answer the question. She said that life was short, that I shouldn't waste time being unhappy. She said you and I had grown apart, that maybe it was time to explore other options. Other options, like Kevin? Daniel, what is this about? Did Lila ever suggest specific places for you and Kevin to meet? Restaurants, hotels? Another pause. Sometimes, she said she knew places that were discreet, and she had access to your phone, your text messages. She's in HR, Daniel. She has access to everyone's information. Not personal phones, Rachel. Not private text messages between you and Kevin. I don't understand what you're getting at. But I do. I understand perfectly. Lila didn't just document Rachel's affair. She orchestrated it. The question is why. The next morning, I drive to Lila's apartment complex. It's one of those modern places with a gym and a pool and rent that costs more than most people's mortgages. The kind of place a successful HR professional can afford, or the kind of place someone with a trust fund can afford. I sit in my car and wait. At 9:30, Lila comes out of the building wearing workout clothes and carrying a yoga mat. She gets into a silver Mercedes that I've never seen before. I follow her to an upscale yoga studio, then to a coffee shop, then to a boutique where she spends an hour trying on clothes that cost more than I make in a week. This isn't the behavior of someone whose friend just lost her job and her marriage. This is the behavior of someone celebrating. That afternoon, I call Sophie. I need you to run a background check on someone. Daniel, we've talked about this. No vigilante justice. Not vigilante justice. Due diligence. I think someone's been manipulating this whole situation, and I need to know who I'm dealing with. Who? Lila Patterson. She works in HR at Morrison and Associates. Or worked. I'm not sure if she still has a job after the affair scandal. What do you want to know? Everything. Background, financials, employment history. And Sophie? See if she has any connection to me or Rachel from before she started working at Morrison and Associates. This is going to cost you. I don't care what it costs. 2 days later, Sophie calls me back. Daniel, you need to sit down. What did you find? Lila Patterson isn't who she says she is. Her real name is Lila Morrison. The room spins around me. Morrison? As in Morrison and Associates. She's the owner's daughter. That's impossible. She works in HR. She works in HR because Daddy gave her a job. But here's the interesting part. She doesn't need the job. She has a trust fund worth about $3 million. $3 million. No wonder she can afford yoga studios and boutique shopping and a Mercedes. There's more, Sophie continues. I found a connection between Lila and you. Do you remember working for Henderson and Associates about 6 years ago? Henderson and Associates. My first job out of college before I started my own consulting business. Yeah, I remember. You were the junior accountant who discovered discrepancies in the books. Embezzlement to the tune of about $50,000. Right. Someone in HR was stealing from employee benefit accounts. The memory comes flooding back. They fired her, but they never pressed charges because she paid the money back. Daniel, that someone was Lila Morrison. She was using her maiden name then, Lila Patterson. The pieces fall into place with sickening clarity. Lila didn't orchestrate Rachel's affair to help anyone. She did it for revenge. 6 years ago, I cost her a job and nearly sent her to prison. So she spent 6 years planning her payback. She got a job at Rachel's company, befriended my wife, and systematically destroyed my marriage. Jesus Christ. There's more. I checked her employment records at Morrison and Associates. She specifically requested to work with Rachel when Rachel was hired 3 years ago. She's been planning this for a long time, Daniel. The photos, the text messages, the anonymous tips, all part of her plan. She probably figured you'd divorce Rachel, fight for custody, maybe even do something stupid that would land you in jail. Complete destruction of your life, just like you destroyed hers. Except her life wasn't destroyed. She's got $3 million and a job from Daddy. Revenge isn't always rational. I hang up and stare at the wall of my home office. Photos of Emma and Jack smile back at me from their frames. My children, innocent victims in a war I didn't know I was fighting. Lila destroyed my marriage, manipulated my wife, and tore apart my family, all for revenge over a job she lost 6 years ago. A job she lost because she was stealing money. Now, Rachel was never the real enemy. She was just a weapon Lila used against me. But now I know the truth, and Lila's about to learn what real revenge looks like. I spend the next week gathering evidence of Lila's manipulation. It's easier than I expected. She's been so focused on destroying my life that she's left a trail of digital breadcrumbs. The anonymous email account she used to send me photos, traced back to her IP address, the coincidental meetings she arranged between Rachel and Kevin, all documented in her work calendar, which Sophie's investigator accessed through a contact at Morrison and Associates, the motel where Rachel and Kevin had their affair. Lila made the reservations using a company credit card, claiming they were for client meetings. Even her friendship with Rachel was calculated. Sophie found emails between Lila and a private investigator, detailing my daily routine, my work schedule, even my boxing sessions with Big Mike. She's been watching me for 3 years, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. But Lila made one crucial mistake. She underestimated me. She thought I was just a small-town accountant who got lucky once. She didn't realize that I've been boxing for 20 years, that I know how to take a punch and keep fighting, that I'm smart enough to see patterns when someone shows them to me. Most importantly, she didn't realize that I love my children more than I hate her. On Friday afternoon, I call Lila. "Daniel," she says, and I can hear the fake concern in her voice. "How are you holding up?" "I've been better. Listen, I was wondering if we could meet. I have some questions about Rachel, and you know her better than anyone." "Of course. I want to help however I can." "Great. How about Rosie's Diner? Say 6 o'clock? Perfect. I'll see you there." She sounds pleased, probably thinking this is another chance to twist the knife. She has no idea that I know who she really is. At 6 o'clock, I'm sitting in the same booth where this all started, waiting for Lila to arrive. She walks in wearing designer jeans and a cashmere sweater, looking like she stepped out of a catalog. "Daniel," she says, sliding into the booth across from me, "you look terrible." "Divorce will do that to you." "I'm so sorry about how things turned out. I really hoped you and Rachel could work things out." The lies come so easily to her. If I didn't know better, I'd believe she actually cared. "That's actually what I wanted to talk to you about. I've been thinking about what you said about fighting for my marriage." Her eyes light up. "Really?" "Really, I think you were right. Rachel's confused, and Kevin took advantage of that. But if I could prove that someone else was pulling the strings..." "What do you mean?" I lean forward, lowering my voice. "I think someone at your company orchestrated this whole thing. Someone who wanted to hurt Rachel, or me, or both of us." Lila's face doesn't change, but I see her hands tighten around her coffee cup. "That's a serious accusation." "It is. But think about it. How convenient that Kevin and Rachel kept running into each other. How convenient that they always ended up alone together. How convenient that someone was there to document their affair." "You think someone set them up?" "I know someone set them up. The question is who." Lila takes a sip of her coffee, buying time to think. "Do you have any suspects?" "A few, but I need more evidence before I can make accusations." "What kind of evidence?" "Financial records, email trails, maybe testimony from someone who knew what was happening." I watch her face carefully. She's trying to look concerned, but I can see the calculation in her eyes. "I could help you," she says finally. "I have access to company records, employee files. If someone was manipulating Rachel and Kevin, there might be a paper trail." "Would you do that for me?" "Of course. We're friends, Daniel. And Rachel's my friend, too. If someone hurt her, used her, I want them to pay." The irony is so thick I can taste it. "Thank you, Lila. I really appreciate this." "It's nothing. We should stick together, you know? The people who really care about Rachel." I nod and signal for the check. "I should go. The kids are with a babysitter." How are Emma and Jack handling all this? They miss their mom. They don't understand why she left. I'm sure they'll see her soon. Actually, they won't. Rachel's moving to California with Kevin. They're starting over somewhere fresh. Lila's coffee cup stops halfway to her lips. What? Kevin got a job offer in San Francisco. Rachel's going with him. They're leaving next week. This is a complete lie, but Lila doesn't know that. Rachel's actually living in a studio apartment across town, working at a temp agency and trying to figure out how to rebuild her life. But what about the children? She's signing over full custody to me, says she needs time to find herself. Lila sets down her coffee cup with shaking hands. This isn't how her revenge was supposed to play out. Rachel was supposed to fight for the kids, drag me through a bitter custody battle, destroy what was left of my life. Instead, according to my lie, Rachel's getting her happy ending with Kevin while I get everything I want. That doesn't sound like Rachel. People change. Apparently she's changed a lot. I leave money on the table and stand up. Thanks again for offering to help. I'll call you in a few days. I walk out of the diner, leaving Lila sitting alone with her coffee and her confusion. Phase 1 complete. Now for the real revenge. The next Monday, I call Mr. Morrison directly. Mr. Morrison, this is Daniel Patterson. We spoke a few weeks ago about Rachel and Kevin. Yes, Mr. Patterson. I want to thank you for bringing that situation to my attention. We've dealt with it appropriately. Actually, that's why I'm calling. I've discovered some additional information that I think you need to know. What kind of information? Information about who orchestrated the affair, and why. Silence on the other end of the line. I think we should meet in person, Mr. Morrison says finally. An hour later, I'm sitting in the conference room at Morrison & Associates with Mr. Morrison and his attorney. I've brought Sophie with me, along with a folder full of evidence. Gentlemen, I begin, I'm here to tell you that my wife's affair was not a spontaneous workplace romance. It was a carefully planned manipulation carried out by one of your employees for personal revenge. I slide the folder across the table. Lila Patterson, who I believe is actually Lila Morrison, your daughter, has been systematically destroying my marriage for the past 3 years. Mr. Morrison's face goes pale. His attorney starts flipping through the documents. 6 years ago, I was working as a junior accountant at Henderson & Associates. I discovered that someone in HR was embezzling money from employee benefit accounts. That someone was your daughter, using her maiden name. That's impossible, Mr. Morrison says, but his voice lacks conviction. She was fired but never prosecuted because she paid the money back. However, she apparently decided that I was responsible for ruining her life. So she got a job here, befriended my wife, and spent 3 years planning her revenge. Sophie opens her laptop and turns it toward them. These are emails between Lila and a private investigator detailing Daniel's daily routine. These are credit card records showing that Lila paid for the motel rooms where the affair took place. These are phone records showing that the anonymous tips about the affair came from Lila's personal cell phone. The attorney looks up from the documents. This is extensive. Your daughter didn't just document my wife's affair, I continue, and she created it. She arranged the meetings between Rachel and Kevin, provided the locations for their encounters, and then made sure I found out about it in the most devastating way possible. Mr. Morrison looks like he's aged 10 years in the past 10 minutes. Why are you telling me this? Because your daughter committed fraud. She used company resources for personal revenge. She destroyed 3 lives, mine, my wife's, and Kevin's, for something that happened 6 years ago at a completely different company. What do you want? I want her fired. I want her prosecuted for fraud and harassment. And I want a public apology acknowledging that Rachel and Kevin were manipulated into their affair. And if I don't agree to your terms, then I go to the police, the media, and anyone else who will listen. Your daughter is a sociopath who destroyed a family for revenge. Do you really want that kind of publicity for your company? Mr. Morrison looks at his attorney, who nods grimly. I'll need to investigate these allegations. You do that. But while you're investigating, I suggest you look into what other employees your daughter might have manipulated. If she did this to me, she's probably done it to others. I stand up and close my folder. You have my number. I expect to hear from you within 48 hours. Sophie and I leave the conference room and walk out of the building. In the parking lot, she grins at me. That was beautiful, Daniel. Absolutely beautiful. It's not over yet. What do you mean? Lila doesn't know I've talked to her father yet. She's still trying to help me find the person who manipulated Rachel. You're going to confront her? I'm going to destroy her, the same way she destroyed me. That evening, I call Lila. Daniel, I've been going through company records like I promised. I think I might have found something. Really? That's great. Can we meet tonight? I'm anxious to hear what you discovered. Of course. How about my apartment? I have all the documents here. Perfect. I want this conversation to be private. Text me the address. I'll be there in an hour. Lila's apartment is exactly what I expected. Expensive, modern, decorated like a magazine spread. She answers the door wearing yoga pants and a smile. Come in, come in. I have so much to show you. She leads me to her dining room table, which is covered with papers and printouts. It's an impressive display, probably took her hours to prepare. I think I know who set up Rachel and Kevin, she says, barely able to contain her excitement. Do you? It was Janet Morrison, the owner's daughter. She works in HR, has access to everyone's information. Look at these email records. She arranged all the meetings between Rachel and Kevin. I pick up one of the printouts. It's an email from Lila to herself, using a fake Janet Morrison account. This is very thorough work, Lila. I know, right? Janet Morrison is a sociopath. She's been manipulating employees for years, probably. She needs to be stopped. You're absolutely right. She does need to be stopped. Something in my tone makes her look up from the papers. Daniel, is everything okay? I had an interesting conversation with Mr. Morrison today. Oh, about what? About his daughter. The real one. Not the fictional Janet Morrison you've created, but Lila Morrison. You. The smile fades from her face. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you do. You're Lila Morrison, daughter of the company owner, trust fund baby, and sociopathic manipulator. You orchestrated my wife's affair because I cost you a job 6 years ago. She takes a step back from the table. You're crazy. Am I? Because I have emails between you and a private investigator. I have credit card records showing you paid for Rachel and Kevin's motel rooms. I have phone records proving you sent me those anonymous tips. You can't prove anything. Actually, I can. I've already proven it. To your father, his attorney, and the police. Her face goes white. The police? Fraud, harassment, stalking. You're looking at serious jail time, Lila. All for a job you lost because you were stealing money. She sinks into a chair, her perfect composure finally cracking. You destroyed my life. You destroyed your own life. I just reported a crime, just like I reported your crime today. I loved that job. I was good at it. You were embezzling money from employee benefit accounts. You were stealing from people who trusted you. It was only $50,000. I paid it back. Only $50,000. Listen to yourself, Lila. You're talking about stealing $50,000 like it's pocket change. She looks up at me with tears in her eyes, but I feel nothing. No sympathy, no pity, no regret. You have no idea what it's like, she says. Having everything handed to you, never earning anything yourself, always being seen as daddy's little girl instead of a real person. So you decided to destroy my family, my children's lives, because you were bored and entitled. I wanted you to suffer the way I suffered. You didn't suffer, Lila. You got a slap on the wrist and a new job from Daddy. You want to know what suffering looks like? It looks like an 8-year-old girl asking why Mommy doesn't love her anymore. It looks like a 5-year-old boy sucking his thumb because his world fell apart. I stand up and walk toward the door. Where are you going? Home, to my children. You know, the ones you tried to take away from me. Daniel, wait. We can work this out. I can fix this. You can't fix anything, Lila. You can only destroy things. But here's the thing about destruction. Eventually, it comes back to you. I open the door and turn back to look at her one last time. Your father's going to fire you tomorrow. The police are going to arrest you next week, and everyone at Morrison and Associates is going to know exactly what kind of person you are. You can't do this to me. I'm not doing anything to you. I'm just making sure the truth comes out. You did this to yourself. I walk out of her apartment and close the door behind me. In the parking lot, I sit in my car for a moment and call Rachel. Daniel. Rachel, we need to talk. In person. Tonight. Is everything okay? Just meet me at Rosie's Diner. There's something you need to know about Lila. An hour later, I'm sitting across from my estranged wife in the same booth where this whole nightmare began. She looks tired, older than her 34 years. What's this about, Daniel? I tell her everything. About Lila's real identity. About the embezzlement. About the 3-year plan for revenge. I show her the evidence, the emails, the credit card records. Rachel stares at the documents in silence for a long time. She manipulated me, she says finally. She manipulated all of us. I thought she was my friend. I trusted her. I know. I destroyed our marriage for nothing. Kevin and I, it wasn't even real. No, it wasn't. Rachel starts crying. Not the pretty tears she used when she wanted something, but ugly, broken sobs. "I'm so sorry, Daniel. I'm so sorry." "I know you are. Is there any chance we can fix this?" I look at my wife, the woman I loved, the mother of my children, the person who betrayed me in the most fundamental way possible. "I don't know, Rachel. I honestly don't know. I'll do anything. Counseling, therapy, whatever it takes. It's not about what you'll do. It's about what you did. You chose Kevin over our family. You brought him to Emma's school play. You were planning to leave me for him. But it wasn't real. Lila made it happen. Lila didn't make you sleep with Kevin. She didn't make you lie to me for months. She didn't make you choose him over our children." Rachel wipes her eyes with a napkin. "So that's it? We're done?" "I don't know. Right now I need to focus on Emma and Jack. They've been through enough. Can I see them?" "Of course. You're their mother. But Rachel, if you ever put them in the middle of your drama again, if you ever choose anyone over them again, I will make sure you never see them without supervision." She nods, understanding that I'm not making an empty threat. What happens to Lila? She gets what she deserves, finally. We sit in silence for a while, two people whose lives were destroyed by someone else's revenge fantasy. "Daniel?" "Yeah? I really am sorry, about everything." "I know you are, Rachel. I know." I leave her sitting in the diner and drive home to my children. Emma and Jack are asleep when I get there, peaceful and innocent. I stand in the doorway of their rooms and make a promise to them and to myself. No one will ever hurt my family again. Not Rachel, not Kevin, not Lila, no one. Epilogue. 6 months later. Lila Morrison was arrested for fraud, harassment, and stalking. She pleaded guilty to avoid trial and was sentenced to 2 years in prison plus restitution. Morrison and Associates issued a public statement acknowledging that Rachel and Kevin were victims of manipulation, and both were offered their jobs back. Kevin declined and moved to Seattle. Rachel accepted and is working to rebuild her career and her relationship with our children. We're not back together. We may never be back together. But we're learning to be co-parents, and Emma and Jack are adjusting to their new normal. I still go to Sullivan's boxing gym 3 times a week. Big Mike says I hit harder now, more focused. He's probably right. Mrs. Donnelly still watches everything that happens on Maple Street, but now she nods approvingly when she sees me with the kids. I think she respects what I did to protect my family. Sophie says I should write a book about what happened. People need to know that sociopaths don't just exist in movies, she tells me. They live next door, work in your office, pretend to be your friends. Maybe I will write that book someday. But right now, I'm focused on being the father Emma and Jack deserve. Last week, Emma asked me if Mommy was ever coming home. "I don't know, sweetheart," I told her. "But you know what? We're going to be okay either way." "Because you'll take care of us?" "Because I'll take care of us." She smiled and went back to her coloring book, drawing another picture of our family. This time, there are just 3 stick figures under the rainbow. Daddy, Emma, and Jack. It's not the family I planned, but it's the family I have, and I'll destroy anyone who tries to hurt it. Rachel learned that actions have consequences. Kevin learned that other people's wives aren't toys. Lila learned that revenge is a dish best served with a prison sentence. And I learned that sometimes the good guy doesn't win by being good. Sometimes he wins by being better at being bad than the bad guys are.